Welcome back to Ferocious Education. This is it. Today, we're going to be talking about Vinco Ventures once more. We have some exciting news and updates relating towards this one. We're going to follow that by a bit of technical analysis and what I think about this one. So without further ado, let's jump right into this one. So I did talk about Vinco Ventures almost on a daily basis now since last week, and what we're talking about today is basically new pieces of due diligence relating towards a short sell rule, and I'll explain what that is, and a short selling as well as a potential short squeeze. Now, all this information is basically out of speculations and information we have, and I'll present those today. Now, if you've never heard about Vinco Ventures is a company with a good strategy relating towards the BIG strategy, basically buy, innovate, and grow. And so they have these different acquisitions. And one of their companies underneath them is specializing in music streaming NFT platform. And in this one here, this was kind of an experiment. Tory Lanez ended up posting his new album as an NFT album, one of the first NFT albums out there. And basically it had 7 songs. They put out 1 million copies and it went out at $1 each. Currently it's on a low of $1.95, but honestly, you have anything coming in from $1.95 all the way to thousands of dollars, 50,000, millions even in some cases that are being posted up. Will it reach there? We're not sure. But again, I did talk about this before. It would open this kind of platform in terms of exposure for other artists as well, since Tory Lanez is not a small artist himself. Now, towards the short selling rules and everything in between. First off, let's go towards the short selling rule. So the short selling rule occurs if a stock has dropped 10% or more. This was introduced in 2010 and it was adopted alternative to the uptick rule, which prohibits short selling when a stock has dropped 10% or more. So first off, this one here, the SEC basically, I'm just going to read it here. So when a stock is dropped more than 10% in a day, which it did earlier today for BBIG, almost 20% at the start of the day, so 10% or more for the previous day, this short sell rule gets in effect. When the rule is in effect, short selling is permitted if the price is above the current best bid. The alternative uptick rule generally applies to all securities and stays in effect for the rest of the day and the following trading session. So it means the uptick rule or basically the short sell rule was in effect today after it dropped more than 10%, and it will be in effect tomorrow. How does that change things? So this will actually go ahead and put some restrictions on short selling. Currently, there's 0 short shares available, which means any kind of short selling that would happen would probably be either institutional or through naked short selling, which it has a lot of illegality towards that. So it usually, if you're going out right now as a retail, into your broker, you'll not find any shares available to short sell at this unless you're probably working within the platform itself. So some brokers have around that, but they're not really working into the market. They're short selling to other people, for instance, or borrowing shares. And that's a different story that really wouldn't affect the stock price as much as you think that way, because at the end of the day, it has to go somewhere in circulation, usually through a third party. Now, currently, if you were able to see, the short volumes are actually increasing. It topped yesterday around 60%, which means around almost 60 or 50 to 60% of all shares being traded on any given day are going towards the short side. And that's massive. So for instance, yesterday around 90 million shares and the day before around 73 million shares went to the short volume side. Now today, it's 167 million shares being traded, and around more than half of that would most likely be going towards the short selling side or short volume side. Currently, this short flow is around 50.68%. It's not updated daily, but that's the most up-to-date estimate. And the shares flow is around 23 million shares. So when we're talking about 89 million and 73 million short volumes on terms of the total volume, which is around 148 and 130 million respectively. So we're talking about a combined, let's say 73 plus 90, around 160 million shares on the short volume in the last 2 days. That would be Monday and Friday alone. You're talking about multiples of the entire flow. So that really gives you an impact on how much, for instance, the short volumes and the short selling is happening here. And with this very, very small shares float, this can really trigger something enormous. It could be even as big as AMC in my opinion. Now, I'm not trading this, just as a disclaimer. I'm not trading it. If it goes up or down, I'm not profiting in any way. This is just based on speculations. I'm not able to trade this because I can't follow the price action day per day. And anyway, we're taking a look into insider actions and things are looking a bit quiet. But before discussing this further, if you'd like to see more contents like this, make sure to please subscribe on the bottom right corner and leave notifications on. A lot of amazing folks have done so already, so join us. And also, don't forget to drop the like to this video, and if you'd like to join our Discord, it's in the description below. Totally free. We're not trying to sell you on any course or anything at all. It's just kind of a chat room with a bunch of interesting people on there. Now, in terms of institutional buyers, we're able to see that there hasn't much change. Institution from officially on the books, this is relating towards filings, and there's a bit of a delay. Nothing is being reported on here. So if there's any institutional short selling, for instance, last one was Blackstone Alternative Investment Fund, and they put around 1,300 shares on the short selling side on the 27th. But if there's any others, they might not be put onto here because there's a delay here with these filings, and depends. There's some regulations that you're able to trade outside those official books. Now, let's move on towards technical analysis and discuss this a little bit further. So on the technical analysis, there's a few things we need to take a look at. For instance, it's mainly momentum trading, momentum volume kind of aspect. First off, on the moving averages, today is the first day where it's all bullish on all the moving averages. That's massive because previously, even with the jumps, they were bearish. Now, on the 80X, which is something called the average directional index, and it basically measures momentum and volume, it's currently at 22.74, indicating that there's an uptrend, but you need to start worrying about a reversal above 50, and it hasn't even reached there yet on this level. William percent R shows this one is very close to being overbought, but not overbought yet, showing the buyers along later on in the day really pushed through from the sellers. Now, in terms of the MACD, you're able to see there's this really strong momentum, and this is backed up by the momentum index at 5.26, meaning that there's really massive momentum. I think from the top to the bottom, from the bottom to the top today was around 50%, so that's massive. And in terms of a 2-hour perspective, we're able to see that the 10 SMA is above the 30 EMA, and we talked about this yesterday, calling it the trading action zone. And I said if it does break below that line, the red line, it escapes something called the trading action zone. So currently, between the 10 SMA and the 30 EMA, which is 7.22 and 6.10, there's something called the trading action zone. That's where most positive reversals occurred, and you get to see it bounced right off there. So there is a bit of a cushion underneath it. Other indicators such as MACD is showing a positive reversal towards the positive side, and it's really showing that it might still pull up more bullish action and a higher uptrend. In terms of stochastic fast and stochastic slow, both are actually pinpointing upwards, suggesting there is a possibility for another uptrend for this one. And in terms of the Bollinger Bands, you're able to see that currently it encompasses the stock price. The Bollinger Bands is around 647 and 35 cents on the bottom. It did touch within there and then it bounced right back, showing that there is still strong momentum. Although the volume out of the last 3 days, today, yesterday, and the day before, Friday, today is the lowest volume recorded in these days. And it could be that, for instance, the short selling rule is playing an effect in this, and that short selling, as it's being restricted and shares not being available, short sales are not as significant, and this might majorly be the buying power. So the buyings or longs or people buying. Now, there's definitely people selling from long sides. Don't take me wrong. Longs also sell and do capture some profits. And there's some people trading who bought on the dip today around $6 and probably selling around $8. That's all the possibility, and it's all a fact that usually happens with every stock market. But moving on from there, we're able to see some of the Fibonacci retracements, key supports and resistances. Keep an eye into this one because institutions do. On the support, it's 735. Below there, 636. 536 and 412, resistances 878 and 1059. Now, if we were to take a look, let's say 15 minutes or 20 minutes here, we're going to take a look into price line action and see the key supports and resistances in here. So currently, there is a resistance sitting at the 846 level, above there, 882, going up to 926 and then up to 998. From there on, it's 1032 and 1059. Resistances seem to be a little bit sparse from each other. In terms of support, there is one around 817, and then below there, 797, going down to 768, going to 739, 725 going down to 698, 679, 665 going downwards to 636, and then downwards to 603, 558 going down to 520 and around 459, and then down towards 416. Comes to the question, Ed, what do you think about this one? Well, as I get to see, this is highly shorted. There's a lot of attention about this one. It has a very small shares float, and it basically has a short selling rule right now that will restrict some short selling, or at least a good amount of it. And currently there is a lot of interest relating towards their NFT music stream, and Bitcoin is still holding on price. It's not tanking, and that kind of blockchain technology is still valid. Honestly, I think this one makes more sense to see a massive jump than AMC, as you get to see AMC was on the verge of bankruptcy and at some point it got saved. And I do think that this one has a lot of attention as well, and it definitely looks interesting. Again, a lot of this is speculation. This is just my opinion. Make sure to take your own opinion into action. And if you're playing this, be careful. It might be risky because if it does drop, it does fluctuate, which is, by the way, called volatility. It has high volatility and the price does fluctuate quite often. As you get to see from earlier today, went from $7 all the way down to $5.48 and back to $8.15 currently speaking. So be very careful, know where your supports are and the key ones as well. For instance, I would say the one that might actually break it if it does break below is around 668, and the currently upmost support is around $6. As you get to see, there is some gaps in there, but be very careful with this trade. What do you think about this ticker? Make sure to mention down in the comments below. Share, subscribe, and like, and have a wonderful day. Now, if you're still here on this video, make sure to drop down below and join our Discord. We have a lot of different things going on, including, for instance, members that gives picks for free. It's not pump and dumps, we just things we think about, swings, etc. We also have really exciting bots. You can actually use those ones. For instance, we're just testing out this bot, for instance, that gives you Fibonacci resistance points, activities, etc. And we have a bunch of free things, totally free. We run on tips here, and you can ask me questions, suggest stocks, etc. It's a really nice community that has been growing up very fast at a very good rate, and it's totally free. If you would like to join that one, feel free to do so in the description below, and have a wonderful day.